Which one will give you more success, more money, more status? The version of you that plays Fortnite, Overwatch, League of Legends, fucking Roblox, or the version of you that just doesn't do any of those things? Now, as we move into this video, I want you to extrapolate this to the actual point of life you are in. A lot of people need to stop playing video games, the majority of people, and then there's also the 10% of people, maybe even closer to 1% of people, that don't. This video will benefit both. Now, I want to start with mentioning that modern life has essentially castrated the male ambitions of young men. What has happened is that they go to bed thinking about the goals and ambitions, the leveling up of their actual virtual game. This can help you learn to actually set goals. This is good for a child to learn to actually set goals and learn about problem solving and achieving. However, are you rich? Because of course you can say, oh, Elon Musk, he plays video games. He can do that. Of course, we can play video games. Dude, that guy is a genius. We need all the help we can get. Of course, how are you going to say the greats could be greater? Now, really, really think about this. If you are going to sleep and you are thinking about the actual game, how you can be leveling up in the game, you are not using the mental space to actually be leveling up in life. And what that actually can do to you is, instead of becoming a producer and actually benefiting society, giving back to society, giving your gift to the world, you end up becoming a consumer. And you start taking to the world, and you get stuck there because you become afraid. You become afraid of the world, even though the world is just as difficult as the video games you play, except it's essentially on hard mode. And how are you going to actually find success in the real world and nonetheless actually be able to afford the video games you want to play if you do not get off your ass and actually start playing the game of life? Now, that sounds pretty cringy, game of life, whatever, but really think about that. Really think about the fact that you could be leveling up in real life. Think about this, and I really want you to think about this exactly idea. If you put the same amount of intention and discipline and consistency as you have put in the games, just imagine if you put that in real life. Really think about that. There is a vision. God has placed something in your heart, a vision of the man you are meant to be. And truthfully, will you settle for a mediocre version of that? Will you settle for you not living up to that expectation, not only of the vision that God placed in your heart? I mean, look, some people were not meant to be successful. Some people are not actually meant to be great. But greatness has a price, and if you have been given that gift, almost sometimes feels like a curse for you to become successful. Think about it like this. It is the only thing, it is your obligation, because if you do not become the man that you know you are destined to be, if you do not strive, if you do not put the very poetry of your entire being, you will fail. And guess what happens when that happens? When you fail, you live with regret. You become an old man. You become one of those people that say, oh, I wish I could have done this. Oh, but it was because of that. Oh, I have to make excuses because I'm a little bitch. That is what happens to you. And truthfully, is that the life you want to live? Do you want to be on your deathbed thinking about all the opportunities that you could have had? Or do you want to think about how you took all of those opportunities and were the man that you were called to be? Because you have an obligation not only to yourself, to the thing that you've gotten in your heart, but also to your bloodline. You can think about, oh, okay, they just screwed, and that's why I'm here. No, because the whole purpose for you to be here is for you to actually give your gift to society and actually impact the world and be the man that you are called to be. Because think about it, come on, how are you going to be that man when you're playing video games and you're thinking about how do I level up faster? Man, I used to be one of those Fortnite kids that used to play like Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 2, friggin' Spy Season. I love that. I have good memories, and I will not take those memories away from the world because from my mind, because they gave me so much. I was a child, and of course children can play games. Children can do that, and of course like an adult, maybe sometimes if he's successful, making a couple $1 million per month, then he, or per year, he should be able to play some games and have fun, whatever. But if we are not at that point, what gives us the ego to think that, okay, we're the exception to the rule, we can become successful even though we're not even being fully dedicated. Yeah, we can take weekends off because we're not being fully dedicated. Now, of course, there's this hustle culture that's not always the best because it doesn't reward actually, like, it's just brute force, and that doesn't work for a lot of things. You need to let yourself be creative. Like, think about, I wouldn't be able to actually let myself be creative for these videos if I wasn't letting myself have quality of life. You must be able to enjoy what you're doing. You must be able to enjoy what you are doing. There's going to be a video coming up about that, about success, consistency, and how to actually be a competitive young man. So think about it like this. Let's just recap so far. By the way, if you would like to join my program, in the description, influence your hormonal health, be able to increase your bench press 100 pounds like I did, even though you were plateaued for a year, and just get strong, aesthetic, and lean, link in the description. That's my full program. Just finished it. So castrate your male drive when you play video games, because you're not actually chasing the goals that have been set in your heart, and you're not actually able to think about the goals that have been placed in your heart. This makes you a consumer, and you are not producing because you are consuming. And if the more time you are actually spent consuming, the less time you will actually have the will to produce, because you are just consuming and you think it's so hard to produce because what you are consuming is so great. Truth is that you get fear because you are not actually developing yourself in the world, so you have nothing to actually show for yourself when you actually go out into the world. And the truth is, all the guys that have been successful, all the guys you look up to, have worked on it. They have been extremely disciplined, and they have been consistent. So the vision you have for yourself that's been placed in your heart for the man that you want to become requires the excellence, not perfection. Not perfection. I want you to understand, you do not need to be perfect. You just need to show up. It requires you. Excellence is the pursuit of perfection, as in the pursuit of excellence, actually, better said. Because perfection is a concept that does not exist. So if you would like to be more competitive, of course, to have increase your testosterone levels that will influence your actions in the world and allow you to be more successful and to win more often, you must have this vision in mind and act congruent towards that vision in your mind. You can think about the beautiful woman looking at you, admiring you. You can think about the beautiful home with the beautiful kitchen, the full fridge. You can think about the nice supercar, whatever, all these things together, but ultimately it's the emotions you want to feel. You don't really want the car, you don't really want the woman, you want to feel loved. You want to feel loved, you want to feel accepted, you want to feel like you're actually a gift to society. That is the things that you really want to feel. You want to feel free. Ultimately, everything you want to do as a masculine man, you want to feel free. Because right now, if you want to feel free, of course, it is itself a constraint. You can decide to be free at any moment by actually doing what is right for you. And ultimately, once you start consuming, you start realizing, wow, I actually want to give. Because really, all there is eternal consciousness. Eternal consciousness is God. When you start relaxing into, and this is like getting really friggin' like spiritual and woo-woo, but like, come on, there's a friggin' heart on the blackboard. When we talk about you relaxing into the source of your consciousness, having no distractions, and letting yourself actually just notice the world, you start to tap into this eternal consciousness, and from there, no past, no future, simply just the present. You have nothing but gratitude. And that is what true peace is. That is what true freedom is. And with that, with nothing but gratitude, all you want to do is give back. And then you can give back to society. You can become more competitive. Stop castrating yourself with playing these freaking video games or stimulating yourself from things that aren't actually congruent to the man that you want to become. And start pursuing the excellence of the man that you know you are capable of becoming. And stop settling for the mediocrity of these bad habits that you have. Stop settling. How long will you postpone yourself until you actually chase the version of you that has these things, that has these emotions, that has this freedom? How long will you postpone that? Because the truth is, the universe is very giving, and if you approach the world, it will give you testosterone, make the hard work fun, give you the motivation, but truthfully, you won't have the motivation until you start pursuing. And so, if you want to start pursuing, you just need to take the next step, because even if you don't know what to do, you're going to get feedback from that next step, and you're going to be able to make an informed decision on what to do next based on the feedback. Be willing to make the mistakes. Be willing. I remember there was an exact point where I had spent, and this was about half a year ago, maybe a year ago in fact, I had worked really extremely hard on something for let's say 13 hours every single day on my spring break. And this was a learning experience for me. A learning experience where I had to understand just the amount of strength, consistency, discipline, and actual perseverance, willpower that it takes to actually become successful and actually materialize the vision I have for myself. What I realized is that it doesn't really matter not only how much you work, it matters the actual production you get. It matters what people see. Not only that, it matters how good you are at making sure other people get value. All of that together is it's the little things that you learn from making mistakes. I had nothing from those 13-hour days for those 2 weeks. I had nothing except I had become a different person. I had failed, and through failure, you become a phoenix and you rise from the ashes and you become great. And I'll just leave you with that to think about. My full program is in the description below to supercharge not only your strength, your motivation, your aesthetics, all that together, because your testosterone will be upregulated and your hormonal health will be perfect. That's what this entire channel is about. All of that together, join now. I just finished it, and like the video, bro, because I'm sure you got value out of this.